Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our very first user group. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. I had some problems with this afternoon's webinar. If one of you guys, or just if you could just in the question box state that you can hear me clearly or not, I appreciate that. As I say, we did have some problems with sound this afternoon. I'm trying a new headphone set here, so maybe that will help. Anyway, welcome to our very first user group. This is something new for me. Great, thanks a lot. Thanks, Trevor. Appreciate it. Okay, this is the very first time that we're doing a Wen user group using a, call it a webinar format. I think this is the way we're going to go forward, so everybody around the country can benefit from it. Obviously, I need some feedback from you guys with regards to what you want to cover. So what I'm going to do now is just give you a quick overview. I'm going to use a PowerPoint presentation, just a quick show you the agenda. Then I'm going to switch over to the actual Wen software. So as I say, it's the first time I'm ever doing a live presentation over a webinar. So we'll see how it goes. This is being recorded, number one. And number two, I've created two sets of PowerPoint presentations with step-by-step points as such, how to use the various aspects of the program. So you'll also be able to get that presentation or links to the presentation. And the idea with this is to just stimulate questions, and obviously the idea is that we can use this as a foundation for future Wen user groups. I plan to do this once a month, and depending on the interest, we'll see how it goes. We are using a webinar format at this point in time. I can go up to 100 people, but I also go to what we call a go-to meeting. And the advantage of the go-to meeting is that I can actually put a video camera up so you guys can see me. That's one way of looking at it. The disadvantage is it's only limited to 25 people. With this webinar, it wasn't marketed broadly. I just sent out an email to selected people. I had about 15, 16 people that booked. And just before we started this webinar, I saw there was about 8 or 9 of us on the webinar. So this is a bit of a tester. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, my focus tonight is just quickly to give a quick overview. And I'm going to spend most of the time on the charting module. Obviously, being a technical analysis package, this is where you do most of your analysis using technical indicators and various drawing tools. So I'm going to go through the basics. I'm assuming that we are novices. I know some of you guys have been using it for a while, but I know some of you have only got the software a week or so ago. So I'm going to go through the basics, what is explaining the screen elements, basically the terminology that I'll be using in the presentation. But I'm going to show you the basics, how to plot security, how to replace security. By the way, when I say security, it's a generic term that covers shares, indices, unit trusts, commodities, everything. So it's a generic term called securities that covers all those things. So I'm going to show how to plot using the navigator, and I'll explain to you now what is a navigator. And I'm going to show you the navigator also to replace indicators and things like that, and plot multiple indicators. And then also you've got an option. This is optional you've got where you can replace security or an indicator using what they call the workspace menu. And I'll also explain what is a workspace now. So I'm going to explain how to use the various tools within the charting module. I can spend a lot of time there, most of the presentation tonight on the charting module. And then we're going to just quickly touch on the data filters, which is how to create watch lists. And I can suggest some watch lists for you guys. When you get the presentation, you'll see the list of securities that make up those watch lists. I suggest you guys use that as a starting point. And then also what I suggest you guys do is to spend time on the highlighter, because obviously it's a big time saver where I can scan the market based on certain criteria. And what's important with the highlighter is understanding what the indicator does. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong. They don't understand the indicator, and then I think the navigator, the highlighter doesn't work. But just a head up with regarding this Wen user group. At this point in time, my objective with the Wen user group is to show you how to use the capabilities of the program. I don't want to go into big nitty-gritty explaining what the indicators do, etc. That is a totally separate thing, and we can see it down the line if there's a need for that. Obviously, technical analysis is very broad. There are millions of technical indicators out there. I'm going to show you quickly how to use the program to make a decision. That's my objective with the Wen user group. How to use this very basic tool to help you make a decision, when to buy and when to sell, and obviously hopefully make money from that. Remember, Wen software, we don't sell it. It's for free. These are old programs, been around for many, many years. We're not doing any more development on it. So that's an entry-level, call it the entry-level technical analysis package. It's got all the traditional indicators in it and the normal drawing tools. Obviously, are more sophisticated programs out there, but you're going to pay for that. So yeah, there's pros and cons. So let's get started. Let's talk about screen elements, and then I'll switch over to the actual program. When we talk about the navigator, this is a control center, what I call the control center of the charting module. This is where you select securities and indicators, okay? And in the workspace, that's where you display the chart, and you use various technical indicators and drawing tools to make a decision. Along the top of the screen, we have what they call the menu toolbar, and obviously each one of them have drop-down functions and things like that. And I'll go through them very, very briefly just now. The alternative is to use the icon toolbar, and these are just shortcuts to the menu toolbar. I use the toolbars more, the icon toolbar more than I use the menu toolbar. And that's another point I want to make regarding this Wen software. The idea is to customize it so you feel comfortable with the program. There's various ways of using it, and as we have more user groups, we'll discuss various ways and things like that. I want to learn from you guys. What do you guys like to use? What don't you like to use, etc. And then obviously we've got various modules within the Wen software that helps you use the program in a different way, in the sense of highlighting or scanning certain criteria, or a module to create watch lists and things like that. The three modules I use the most is the charting module, the data filters, and the highlighter. Yes, there are other modules like the portfolio tracker that I don't really use because I've got a PhD online account, which is more up to date, and obviously that's what I use. Things like the custom indicators, I do not touch. I'm not a programmer. I don't program any new indicators. I don't look for the Holy Grail. There are other programs for that, but this is, as I say, entry-level program to help you to make decisions. At the bottom of the screen, of all the screens, you have what I call a data filter combo box. This is where you select various shares or various watch lists, and you can use it within those different modules. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch over to my Wen software. So I'm going to Alt-Tab. You just bear with me. Let's see if there's any questions, guys. Any questions as we go along, please let me know. And hopefully I'll clear it as we go along. Okay. Okay, the numbers have increased slightly. Okay, so I've clicked on the icon on the desktop. I've opened my Wen, and I'm just going to show you just quickly how to use the software. So along the top here, as I say, this is what we call the menu toolbar. Okay. You click on that little button there, they open up the various modules. For example, here's the data module, here we chart module, and there's all the various modules down here. So that's one way of using it. The other way of using it is what we call the icons. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the basics, how to plot a share, when I say share security, how to replace the security and things like that. This here is what we call the navigator. This is the control center. And this big gray area here is what we call the workspace. This is where you plot the share or the security to do analysis. Okay, so basically, to plot the security, I'm in the charting module. I click on new security. Okay, it opens up this little what we call the security dialog box. Now you can see there's a drop-down arrow key, and it's all alphabetical. So obviously one tab with a number in front will be first. If you right mouse click, by the way, you can select alphabetical or by sector. Okay, I suggest keep it on alphabetical, and there's three ways to use, or two ways to use it now. You can scroll down this list until you get to Cecil, okay, which is a very long way to go. Because remember, this list consists of all the warrants, all the unit trusts, everything, all the securities in the database. I find it's easier just to type the first three letters of the share, SAS. Okay, jumps to that alphabetically now, and from there I just scroll down a bit further, and there's I see Cecil. I select Cecil now. I can click apply, and then obviously it'll load up my defaults because that's all preset. But when you first look at this, you can either choose the periodicity, how you want to display it. Okay, it has an intraday function, but we don't use it here in South Africa. This was set up originally for Australia when we were selling this or moving to Australia. So you'll be using either a daily function, which is today's close, and obviously every day from there going backwards, or weekly function, or monthly, or quarterly, or annual. Okay, the most you'll be using is daily and weekly. You like to switch between the two of them. I'm going to use daily. Maximum points to load. This is trading days. So 250 days, excluding weekends, is roughly about a year. Okay, I suggest you make a decision. Keep it at 250 days. Okay, if you want to switch over to more to a longer period, I'd just like to switch over to a 2-weekly chart. But you can play around with it. The idea is that you want to stick to a maximum point in the sense that when you start creating defaults and templates, that you want to have enough history. Points to advance, you'll see just now we create on the far right inside here, it creates a bit of a gap, 20 days. It's useful. You want to extrapolate trend lines into the future. At least the price is not right against the price angle or price on the side. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click apply, and by default you can see my charts here automatically loads up in the top right hand corner here. If you can see bring up my cursor again, my spotlight. It tells me D for daily. It tells me a candlestick chart, and it's overlaid with a 200-day moving average and a 50-day moving average of Sassel. Okay, this is what we call a base security. We need a price chart, and also you'll see just now when we select the indicators, all these things are classified by various categories of indicators. Okay, so there we go. That's how you display the information. Normal, as I say, normal chart. That's the 20 points I was talking about. By the way, we've got our little vertical line up here. I'll just take it away. So there we go. This is 250 days, roughly about a year. So we're seeing from the end of October to the end of October, roughly a year. Okay. And from there, as I say, later on, you can start zooming in, zooming out using the zoom function, or you can change the period to change it to weekly. If I change this to weekly, it'll load up 250 weeks, which is roughly about 4 years. You can see at the bottom here. Okay, this is the horizontal axis refers to time, and the vertical axis refers to price. So you can see by just changing the periodicity to weekly, I'm loading more information. Obviously, that helps with giving you more perspective. I can change that periodicity to load up 1,000 weeks, and obviously that compresses much more information onto one screen. And that's the advantage of looking at historical data. By the way, the Wen software can go right back to 1988 or 1985, even further than that. So you can have a long-term view of the chart. Okay, so there we go. So I plotted Sassel. If I want to delete Sassel now or get rid of Sassel, I can just click the little dustbin here. It'll delete to clear the workspace. That's what it means with a little dustbin. It's not going to delete any data. It just clears the workspace. So it's asking you, are you sure? I say yes. That's how easy it is. Okay, so that's how you plot the security. So hopefully this is coming through loud and clear. As I say, any questions? Just send it along. This is still very basic. Yeah, it should, we should be able to cover everything. If I want to replace the share, okay, there's SOL. Let's put Sassel again. Okay, so if I want to replace Sassel, instead of just deleting it and clearing the screen, I just highlight the share in the share name in the navigator. It's still highlighted in the security combo box. I can just say, for example, Kumba now. Kumba, it will have exactly the same criteria as we have a Sassel, daily charge, 250 points, etc., with the same moving averages and my base security and things like that. When you guys first load up your security, when you first install the software, I think by default I had it as a bar chart with a 21-day and a 40-day chart. That doesn't matter. Later on, you can always customize it. Okay, we'll talk about quick charts, quick templates, and that a bit later. If I want to plot more than one security, I select New Security in the navigator box, okay, and then I click on, for example, here's Kumba. I want to look at Xaro. There's Xaro, and I click Apply. What's going to happen now is that my workspace will be split in two. Okay, there we go. So now we're still sharing the same time axis, okay, but now I've got two workspaces. And so I can carry on and add more and more securities. If I add a third security, it's obviously going to split into three. So we're looking at Kumba, we're looking at Xoro. Let's say, for example, let's bring in Sassel again. I put it on Sassel. I can either click on, just push enter, it will automatically load it for me, or I click on apply. There we go. So now I've got 3 graphs all on one time axis. Okay. If I load up the 4th one, it's going to split into quadrants. Okay. So let's load up another security here. Let's load up Anglo, and there we go. You'll see this now split into 4. Okay. So you can go on. I suggest that be careful, don't load too many graphs on one screen, and obviously it becomes very, very small. What I like about this now is that I can click on the workspace. And in the workspace, if you look in the top right-hand corner here, Kumba, if I click here, you see the margin, the border, has got a green color to it, where all the others are blue. This tells me that Kumba is the active workspace. You can see here in the navigator, the indicator is being highlighted. So if that's an active workspace, I can also maximize the screen. Now this is where this little icon comes in handy, this toggle full screen. If I toggle full screen, it maximizes the screen for me. And that's where the up and down arrow keys now can also come in handy, because now I can switch and toggle between all the other 3. Okay, so that's the advantage of having that toggle function. I personally like to have one share up and then do all the analysis using all the indicators on one particular stock. But this is useful if you want to compare. You have, for example, we've got 4 different resource stocks, and you can see how they've been performing. Okay, so I'm going to do now is just clear the workspace. If I click on the little dustbin, okay, if I click on the dustbin, it's going to clear the whole workspace. It'll delete all 4 shares. Okay, so we've plotted one security, we've plotted more than one security, and we replaced the security. Okay, let's talk about indicators. And I'm going to plot my Sassel share again. Okay, there's my Sassel share with the candlesticks as a base security. If I double click in the navigator on the share code, or share name rather, it opens up the indicator below that. If I double click on that now, look what happens to my navigator. It now changed to the indicator navigator. And by default, as I say, well, it depends on my base security, and this base security is a candlestick, and there's got overlaid with the moving averages. Okay. I can either change that now, it's all alphabetical. By the way, as I mentioned just now, all the indicators in Wen are classified in different categories. You get all your price indicators are being blue or are blue. Obviously, when you first plot yours, the candlesticks are blue. I've just changed mine, customized mine to have down days as red and up days as blue. But you'll find that all the price indicators are usually blue. For example, if I go and select, it changes now to, and again I click on the drop down arrow key, and I just scroll up alphabetically. I'll go look for bar chart, and I plot or apply a bar chart. You can see the bar chart is blue. So you'll find that all the indicators are colored, price indicators are blue, general indicators are black, and so it goes on. If I select this drop down arrow key, you'll see the colors are also in the list, are also colored that way. You see, for example, that the arms ease of movement, it's green. Okay, that's a volume indicator. You'll see that if you had to select a volume indicator, you'll have a V in the navigator. That's how it goes on. Okay, I'm not going to go too much detail about into all the indicators. But that's one way of looking at indicators as from a category point of view. But what I've done now is I've replaced it like we did with security, highlight the actual indicator. Remember, first I selected the share name, I opened up an indicator below that, and I actually selected the underlying indicator. So that's replacing. I just replace it. Ideal situation, I always like to have a price indicator and additional a general indicator. So I'm going to select new indicator and add to that list. Let's say, for example, I want to add the RSI. So I just type the letter R on my keyboard, or click on the letter R on my keyboard, automatically jumps to the RSI or to R in the alphabetical list. Okay, and I click on apply, and voila. Okay, I remember in my situation also, I've customized my RSI. I've got a 10-day moving average overlaid on that, and the 2 parameters, the 30 and the 30. I've also color-coded that to help me make better decisions. Okay, so I can add on more indicators now. Let's say, for example, I select new security. I can just go back here and say S, It jumps to slow stochastic. Again, like you saw with the various securities, the workspace automatically will be split into various workspaces. I personally don't like to go more than 2 technical indicators. I also like to group them together. We'll talk about templates just now, but I like to group them together. Like these 2 indicators are oscillating around 2 lines. They're very, very similar in interpretation, so I like to group them together. We have indicators like overbought, oversold, momentum, which oscillate above and below a 0 line. I like to group those together. I like the MACD and the DMI together because the periodicity is very close. That's how it goes on. Okay. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I hope you find it beneficial. I know it's basics, but some of us have never really used the program properly. Whoa. Okay. Here's some questions coming through. This is a question from Marius. How do you change the moving averages from 21 to 40 to 50? Okay. I can just ask you guys, just keep the questions short. So, because my little box I'm reading is very, very small. So just keep the questions short. Okay, let's answer that question quickly. How do I change the periodicity of or the change in moving average periods? So what I'm going to do now quickly is just highlight in the navigator. I want to delete these workspaces. I want to keep the base security, the base indicator, the price chart. I want to delete the other 2 technical indicators. So I can right mouse click, and there it pops up a little menu. I can delete. Okay. If you go into the workspace, select the workspace, you see how it's stochastic. The border is green. I can also right mouse click, and it brings up what we call the workspace menu. And here I can also edit, okay, and change the indicators. I like to just delete the indicator here in the navigator, and voila. Okay, now, Maurice, to answer your question, to change the periodicity, obviously the bar chart has a child indicator. The bar chart would be the parent, the price chart would be the parent, and the moving averages are what we call child indicators. So yeah, you can see on the parameters of the bar chart, I've got moving averages. And yeah, if I select the drop-down arrow key by 200, then I can change that to 21, click apply. I can click the other one here and change that to 40. I know you got yours the other way around. I know you got yours at 21 and 40. Doesn't matter. I have various templates of various moving averages. But anyway, to answer your question, that's how I would change it. You can select this default now. So every time you plot the bar chart, it will automatically load up a 21 day and a 40 day. Okay. I'm going to click apply, and I click apply here. There is our moving averages have been changed. Okay. So that's one way of using it. What I want to show you quickly, what's more important about this is what we call the quick templates. So I want to show you quickly how to create a template and then save it and then use the quick templates, because that's a big time saver. I plot security and use quick templates all the time. So if I select the bar chart again, I'm going back to my 50 day, and depends what your time horizon in that. I like to use a 50 day and a 200 day, not so much for buying and selling for timing point of view. I use it for the crossovers. When the 50 day crosses over the 200 day, it tells me in a bullish trend. But more important is for me to look at where is the price above the 200 day moving average, we're in a bull trend. If it's below 200 day moving average, it's in the bear trend. By the way, you can also change the colors. If I double click on the EMA, it opens up a little dialog there. It says colors. Now my 50 day moving average is green. I like to swap it the other way around. Make my short term moving average red. Okay, and I can save it as a default. And double click on my 200 day and change that to a green. I like to have it as green. That's, again, as I say, this is all part of customizing it. There we go, save. There we go. Okay. So as I say, I want to bring in, I want to create a template now. And there are basic templates already, but you want to add on to it. So what I want to do now, I'm going to say RSI. Oops, that's R squared. So we're just going to place it. So select it. RSI. Go one down. Okay, another one. New indicator. Stochastic. Fade top letter S jumps to slow stochastic. I prefer to use a slow stochastic or compared to a regular stochastic. And so these are all preset already. I have taken some time to set up already. Okay, there's my template. That's what I like to use. So I go here to templates. I go here to save template. And I give it a name. and I suggest give it a descriptive name. Obviously, you can see I've got quite a few ready. This is a bar chart with moving averages. So I'm just going to select here and say bar chart. So just do my typing. Bar chart, RSI, and I'm going to use some abbreviation, SST/stochastic. Okay, and I click on save. Voila. Okay. Now, instead of having to go look for it every time, you go here to quick selection. Okay, quick templates rather. And I go here to add quick templates. You can see I've got quite a few here already, and I think you guys have set yours is set up like it already. You'll have your bar chart, your line chart. Those are just the basic line charts and price chart, and from there I add on it. But let's say, for example, I want to add the one I've just created. So I go look for it in my list now quickly. It's all alphabetical. So bar chart. Where's the bar chart? RSI, stochastic. Where is it? There we go. Okay. So I click on open, and it's at the bottom of my list. Okay. There we go. Okay. So the ideas of templates is my templates override my defaults. Defaults override my templates. I'll talk about defaults now. Okay. There's my bar chart. Okay. I go down the line chart. Same graph, same share now. Sassel. Okay. So I apply all these various technical indicators now to the one share. And I go, as I can go right down to my bar chart, and that's the one we created just now. Big time saver. I like to use quick templates. That's how I plot it. Okay, guys, we're running out of time. I'm just going to go through this very quickly. What I find useful also, it's very important that you use trend lines. Trend lines, I use it as entry and exit points. So this is where you'll find trend lines. There's a thing called pen mode on the menu toolbar. Okay, you click on the menu toolbar, it drops down with the pen mode operations. Okay, basically you've got the select, zoom mode, and draw mode. Okay, measure mode, and those are two others. What I want to highlight first of all is how to create a floating toolbar. You see along the top here, this little blue line, you can see it hovers and it changes its color. If you hold your control key down, hold the mouse down, you can actually drag and drop it down into the workspace. Now you can create floating toolbars and start customizing the program further. I can anchor it various places on the side. I like to anchor it down in the middle. Okay, so now instead of using the menu option and go 2-3 steps, okay, I like to use the menu option. So now I can click on that. My cursor now becomes a magnifying glass. In other words, I can zoom in, drag from left to right. I can zoom into a graph. Or I can drag from right to left. I can zoom in. Okay, I'm in zoom mode. I can go back to cursor mode. So that's where the floating toolbars come in handy. Go one step further. Also the drawing mode. There, drag, drop, drag, and anchor it. Okay. So the ones you'll be using the most is the zoom mode. You can see if I highlight the icon, a little tooltip pops up. Measure mode. If I just maximize my screen here quickly, I want to measure what is the movement from there, and then if to hold the mouse down from there to there, it tells you it's 19%, and that is over 65 days. Okay, here's a bit longer from there to there. Here we're talking about 39%. And 131 days. The challenge is you have to hold your mouse down. I'm still in measure mode. I'll go back to select mode. Okay, let's talk about drawing tools. There are a lot of them. There's 11 different drawing tools. I'm not going to go through all of them right now. The ones you'll be using the most is the trend line. So if I click on that little icon now, my cursor now becomes a pencil. Now the idea of trend lines is find a prominent low or prominent high. Obviously a line chart or bar chart, I'm taking the extremes here, hold the mouse down and I extrapolate it, drag. The more times it touches, the more reliable the trend line is. Okay, now by default I've got mine set up as fuchsia and also mine set up as a solid line. The way I've done that is that I've selected as 2 and every time I plot it as by default will be those colors. Now the reason why I use it fuchsia is from there I can change the colors. I like to have my support trend lines holding up the price, and then I change that to red. So I just click R for red. Okay, pops it to red. I click apply. By the way, you can see what's happened to my navigator. It's become the drawing tool navigator. I go back onto my drawing tool mode here. I select the highs here, and I extrapolate it, and so it goes on. Okay, these things are subjective. Which is I was taken from that point, so we get the point across. I like to have my resistance trend lines as blue. I click apply, and so it goes on. I can also bring in things called retracement levels. Okay, draw from a prominent low to prominent high, automatically calculates my 33%, my 50%, and my 66%. Okay. What I want to do now quickly, I forgot to do this, was to just take these off quickly. I'm going to take off the indicators. Remember, I'm still using a template, but instead of just redoing this all again, what I like to do is to use my templates for indicators. Then I like to draw all my support and trend lines in, and then use a thing here called security defaults. So now I usually do this just on price charts, be it a candlestick chart or a line chart or a bar chart. I like to save my drawing tools on that. So I click on Save Security Defaults. That means every time I go back into Sassel, I can always go back to my drawing tools. Okay, I click on Sassel. Okay, obviously that's my default indicator. I go back here to Templates. You can see this Load Security Defaults. It's bold. If it wasn't bold, it means there would be no drawing tool saved to it. But here they are some. So I'm going to select that, and voila, there's my previous homework. So usual my security defaults, I can save the defaults. I can also use this little button here called Auto Load Security Defaults. So if I bring up any of my other indicators, it has done previous drawing tools, it will automatically load up for me. So what I always like to do is do trend analysis first. I look at my support and resistance, trend lines. So you can do this for daily charts, weekly charts, annual charts, save it as defaults, and then use your templates as a further in-depth analysis. So now going back to my bar charts now, to my quick templates. My quick templates override my defaults and vice versa. That's the way I like to use the software. Okay. So guys, that's just very quickly how to use the charting module. Are there any other questions on the charting module? Look, these things are so small here. Okay, Marius, hopefully that answered your questions regarding the moving averages. If I don't answer your question tonight, obviously I can get back to you on the emails from the emails. Okay, here's a question: would you use technical analysis more for investing or trading? It's both. You know, obviously technical analysis is leaning more towards the trading side, but as a long-term investor, I still like to know are we at the top of the cycle, the bottom of the cycle, things like that. If you had a look at the long-term view of Sassel, this will give, if I just bring Sassel quickly and switch over to the periodicity. By the way, if I click on security, the Sassel name brings up the box here. But also along the top, I can find some periodicity. I always find it's easier just to use the icons. So that's again looking at 4 years. Let's go load up 1,000 days now. Okay. As a long-term investor, it's important for me to know that we are trading close to all-time highs. Okay, there's all-time high here. So new highs are making new highs. So that's where technical analysis is handy for a long-term investor. If I had to bring in all my other long-term indicators, I could bring in MACD, DMI, for example. I can see that MACD is seriously overbought. Okay, we haven't been overbought here since those days. And last time we were at these levels, what happened? The price came back. So this is how you start using the technical analysis as a long-term investor. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay. I'm looking for more questions here. How long did it take you to master the software? You never stop. Every day you use it. Obviously, the more you use it, the easier it becomes. It's like watching children play a game on Wii or PSP. The more they play it, they get better at it. So my objective of this Wen user group is to show you the shortcuts that I use, and later on you can always add on and customize it for yourself. So I use it very, very easily, very basically. As I say, I plot security and I use the templates. Okay, so I plot security. We've been looking at Sassel. Let's look at another share. Here's Kumba, and then I'll use my quick templates. That's how easy it is. It's not very difficult from there. And I can go down the whole list of all the different indicators. Okay, one of the indicators you'll see is called favorite indicators. It plots everything on one screen. What's important is interpretation of these indicators. Okay, so I'm not going to go into that right now. So to answer your question, the more you play with it, the easier it becomes. Okay, so that is the charting module. I want to go quickly now over to the data filter module. Data filters is where you create watch lists. Now, by default, you should have two little watch lists already. If I click on load security, you should have one called JSE shares and JSE sectors. If I select JSE sectors, by the way, it loads up all the sectors of the JSE. Okay, so I've selected the sectors, and there we go, plotted there all together. And you should also have another one. By the way, if I click this thing in the middle here, it removes them all. I can also select another one here called JSE shares. Now, this does get out of date. You need to go down this list, this long list on the left-hand side here, and look for shares. Okay, if it's got numbers in it, it won't be shares. You need to go down this list, and any new shares you need to add into the list. Now, for example, I knew there's one that just came out recently called a tech. So I just go down this list. You'll recognize some of these shares, some of these things as indices, and some of those being futures and things like that. I'm just going down this list here, and I'm looking for ATT. Okay, where's my ATT? ATech. Where's my ATech? There we go. ATech. Now that was one of the most recent listings. Sorry, Jays, we're having a big storm outside again. Okay, so there's ATech. I can either click this little button in the middle of the screen. Okay, it's selected to my list. What I always find easy is just double click on it. I double click, it gets added to the list on the right hand side. So you need to update your JSE shares. JSE shares, the idea there is a watch list excluding warrants, excluding unit trust, excluding futures, etc. Just looking at the JSE shares. Very important now that I save this. I say save, filter, set as, and that's my JSE shares. And from there, I've got this data filter box at the bottom here. And I suggest when you do save a watch list, okay, always put AAA in front. You can see it jumps to the top of the list. And I've got a whole lot of different watch lists I use. But anyway, there's the JSE shares I was talking about just now. So now I've excluded all the warrants, etc. Now I can go back to my chart, my module now. Just clear the screen. My charting module. Okay. And for example, I can select the very first share in that list. Okay. If this was a smaller group of shares, I can just look at that share and select the next one, which I'm going to do now. Now, I suggest this when you do get a PowerPoint presentation, there is a link or a page that shows you how to create the JSE Top 15 or Financial 15 rather. I can create smaller lists here. There's Industrial Top 25. Okay, so I'm going back to my data filter module. I'm going to take all these out. Load the JSE 15 so you can see what I'm talking about. These are the top 25 industrial shares. Okay, voila. Okay, so the idea of creating watch lists or creating data filters is make the list smaller and more manageable. So now this list is included in this list at the bottom here. So I'm going to go back to the module here, and there's my list. That's the very first share in my watch list. I select Arc Mattel, I click apply, and this is where the left and right arrow keys come in handy now. So I can scroll through that list looking at the various shares. Okay, I can also bring up my templates again, bring back my templates, the ones we were looking at earlier on, and scroll through the list of shares. Okay, very useful. Okay, so that's what the watch list does. It just helps you focus on a smaller group of shares. But now, it's very time consuming going through all these shares individually. This is where it's useful to create a scan. Now, the highlighter module is a very useful tool, but also very frustrating for a lot of people because it's important to understand the indicator first. So in my little PowerPoint presentation here, I can go back to it quickly again. Okay, let me go through this quickly on our highlight. Sorry, let me go through this stuff. This is basics. Quick templates we discussed already. We discussed all this already. So you guys will be getting a longer version of the toolbars we discussed. Data filters we just touched on. One watch list I suggest you guys create is what I call economic watch list. So this helps you, what I call the going from the general to the specific. And here's the list, and you'll get this presentation with the constituents. And the idea is that I go through this every day. Takes me about 20 minutes, gives me a good idea what's happening on the market, and from there I'll look at my individual shares. And that's why I also suggest you create a watch list of the top 40 shares, the watch list of the next 60 companies, what we call the mid caps. So this is based on our CFD and single stock futures list. So you can create one list of the top 100 and break it down to top 40, the next 60 companies, what I call mid caps. And also I suggest you create one called the INI 25, Financial 15. As I said, I've given you this list of the constituents. And this is updated, this is based on until the end of September. So obviously this is based on the ETF, the SATRIX 40, the SATRIX 50, SATRIX 50, SATRIX, this is all the constituents of that. This is the RESI 10, and so it goes on. So the idea is to create a watch list of those shares. Okay, and that's what I'm selecting right now. So going back to my highlighted module, I can create a very, very basic one. The idea is to also, let me just go back here again, I'm now chopping and changing here. The highlighted module, these are some suggested scans I suggest you use, moving averages, crossovers, and use various time spans, periods. Be it a crossover 21 crossing over the 40-day or the 50-day crossing over the 200. Doesn't matter. And I suggest you use 2 scans for each of them. You want to create one scan bullish, one scan bearish, one scan for overbought, oversold based on RSI, bullish, bearish, one for stochastic, oversold, bullish, bearish, one for MACD, either the crossover of the trigger line, bullish, bearish, and so you can create a whole different scans. I suggest, and this is what I've learned over the years, don't have more than one indicator in a scan, because you might have a criteria being met on the RSI, but does not get met on the stochastic, so you won't have anything come up. You can create those. I just find it easier to go through a whole lot of different scans. Okay, so let's go through the basics. I'm going to create a new one now. So you select here the indicator module. Okay, and I always like to use a base chart, be it a line chart, or like a closing line chart. There I'm selecting closing line chart, and by default, obviously in my charting module, it has a default already. It's got a 21-day and a 40-day moving average. Now what I do now is set up alert me when the 2 lines cross over each other. So now if we click on the drop down arrow key, get a whole lot of different alert functions. I like to compare one line to another line, so that's why I'm using that line compare. And there's my parameters. Now if I click on the drop down arrow key, I've got 3 criteria to choose from. I want to select my 21-day must cross up over my 40-day moving average. Okay, and I click apply, and it's very important. That means critical. It must meet that criteria. If it doesn't meet that criteria, I want to ignore it. So now I want to click on save criteria, and I'm going to give it a very simple name. I call it MA crossover. There's quite a few already. MA crossover, and I'm going to call it bullish. I'm just taking a shortcut. I know this stuff is already. Give it a name. I can give it a unique name. 21 and 40. Whoops. Okay. Bullish. I select save. What I find useful also is to give it a description. Okay. Obviously the name is descriptive enough, but I like to maybe just refer to a closing line. I usually refer to the template. So whatever criteria I'm using, I want to use a template for this. So closing line 21 and 40-day SMA. Okay, so there we go. Let's go back to save this criteria again. I'm saving it, I'm overriding it. Okay, now I want to scan quickly just on the short little watch list on the INI 25. So there's my little watch list. So hopefully something comes up. I'll go here to on the left-hand side, execute criteria. It runs through it very quickly. and no shares came up on my list. Okay. Don't just give up hope. What I suggest to do is just make the list a bit bigger. I'm only looking at 25 shares. Let's look at 100 shares or 400 shares. So that's where the JC shares come in handy. I want to see, is the criteria working? That's what I want to do. See, it takes a bit longer to scan now. So it's going over around about 400 stocks instead of 25. It will take a bit longer. Okay. So as I suggest, you can add on additional criteria. It will take a bit longer, but obviously the disadvantage there is that one criteria can kick out the other criteria. As long as I get some result, I know the criteria works. That's the objective with the highlighter scan. Okay. Come on, guys, quickly. I'll show you quickly how to use this. 98. Okay, 3 shares met that criteria. Okay. So I can select these shares. Okay, I just want to make sure there are nothing in data filters. Oh, there is. Okay. I can save that list. Go back to my highlighter module. I can select these 3 shares. Select, hold my shift button down and drag them. Shift, drag, and drop them in my data filters. And you can see right at the bottom there, I can drop them there. So I just drop them on data filters, and voila, there are the 3 over there. Okay, this is a small list, so that's if I want to save the list. Okay, what I like to do always is just confirm visually. Okay, there's the 3 shares. What's really useful now is I can just change the change the data folders at the bottom here. I type the letter H, it jumps to the list here, and I scroll down and I see highlighter results. This is those 3 shares will be put in the highlighter results. So there is a default watch list automatically. So I go back to the charting module. Let me just clear the screen off here, and I select the drop-down list. There's those 3 shares I was talking about just now. ARB holdings, click apply. Remember my criteria was a bar chart, okay, or a line chart with a 21 and a 40 days. I can just quickly change. This was, as I say, it's useful to have the default set up already. So it was a 21-day period and a apply 21 day. Just take that one out and take the other one out historically. Change the period here. Another one was 40 day. Okay, 40 days. Apply. Okay, there's my 21 day and my 40 day. Remember my criteria was that the share should have crossed up over it, so it is above my 40 day. Okay. If I go to the next share in that list is MoneyWeb. Yeah, it crossed up over it. So it's not exactly what I was looking for. I'm looking for that scenario. That scenario there. That's what I'm looking for. So it's not exactly what I'm looking for. I need to fine tune it. Okay. So it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes you do get some errors. The last one, Transpaco. This is the opposite now. This doesn't even meet my criteria. Okay. So that's why it's important to test it and confirm visually does it meet my criteria. Okay. The one I use every day, by the way, as I said, this is what I used for the bullish crossover. Now, instead of having to redo all this for the bearish, what I do is I just swap this around now. It crossed down. Okay. So I just do the opposite now, and I say save criteria, and I just call this bearish. So exactly same criteria, just bearish. Excuse my spelling here. Okay, so there we go. Save it, and I could just do a quick scan again, just to test this criteria works. Let me go right to the top, go to my data filters. Let's look for a bigger group. JC shares. Okay, let's make it a bit smaller. Let's make it the top 100. It won't take so long. There's my top 100. I've got quite a few different watch lists. there's my top 100 watch list. Okay, and let's quickly run that criteria. Borrows. Okay, borrows cross down through the criteria. So obviously it's just one share. I can go to highlight the results. Alternatively, I know it's bar world. So I just go here to new security and type the word VAR, bar world. I forgot to say that as a template just now. Okay, but anyway, you get the criteria. It's crossed down through it. So that's how you would use the highlighter scan. The one I use the most, load security, you can see quite a few of them set up, is the RSI scan. The stochastic I use every day for the stockbroker. There's stochastic bullish. Run a quick scan. See how it goes. Nothing came up. And I do the opposite. Stochastic bearish. Nothing come up. Let's go through the list quickly. Voila, there's quite a few. So obviously that's the criteria. So highlight the results. Go back here to my module. Select my drop-down list. There's the first share. Okay. Remember my criteria was stochastic. So I can just quickly use a template. Okay, there we go. See, that was my signal. There's my stochastic. Came down through it. Next share. Okay, came down through the trigger line, came down through it. So all the criteria has been met. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is it must meet the criteria and always confirm visually. Okay. Let me see if there's any other questions coming through. Clear. No other questions. No new questions when you put it that way. Is there a built-in tutorial? No, there's no built-in tutorials. That's why we have these Wen user groups. There's a question from Trevor. As I say, I have created a PowerPoint presentation or a step-by-step steps as such. You'll be getting that presentation tomorrow. That'll be the tutorial. Okay, have you got any other questions? But this is what I use the program. You know, you don't have to use all the bells and whistles. I just find it just easier to run security, use quick templates, use the security defaults, and then do scans. I create watch lists. So you don't have to use everything. This program is layered. I don't use all the drawing tools. I don't use all the indicators. There are more than 100 different technical indicators in the software. I use the most. There we go. I'll show you now quickly. About 10. Okay. So what's important is interpretation. I can go through all these shares in that list and quickly confirm, is it overbought, oversold, where are the opportunities. That's what you're looking for. Remember, it's a tool. Technical analysis is a tool to help you make a timing decision. That's what technical analysis is. This is not a forecasting thing. If I had the technical analysis software program that will tell me what share to buy tomorrow and it's guaranteed, I won't be sitting here. I'll be lying on some beach somewhere. What I've learned over the years, there's no holy grail. There's work involved. This is a tool to help you make a decision. Okay. By the way, one of the things I do find handy is a thing here called fundamental research. We do have fundamental comments. You can also create pop up here, this little error message popping up. Obviously, Mondi PLC hasn't got a website set up, but automatically always load up to the website. What I like to use the notepad let me just go quickly to my desktop. Just to get rid of that quickly. On my desktop, there should be a little list here. Hopefully on this, hopefully it's easier. Share selection checklist. Murphy's Law won't be on this one. There we go, share selection checklist. The idea you have my share selection checklist. Obviously, this is the demo I use on my laptop. my office computer, my home computer, I got one I use all the time. But basically, there's a whole lot of questions I ask myself. What I do is I take it from here, and I just highlight all this. Right mouse click copy. I go back to my Wen software, okay, and I paste it in here. Control V, maximize the screen, and then I'll, oops, go to Notepad, maximize my screen, and then I'm ask myself a whole lot of different questions. Oops, sorry, let me go back here again. Notepad. There we go. So I look at fundamental criteria. This I get off the PHR website, and then I start looking at technical criteria. Okay, and I just I type it in here. Okay, bottom line, I can save it, save the criteria, save this particular all the information to this particular share. Bottom line, I ask myself a question: is it a buy, sell, watch or hold? If it's a buy, I'm obviously going to buy tomorrow. If it's a sell, I'll sell tomorrow. If my last signal was a buy and I haven't got a sell signal yet, to be a watch. Sorry, a hold. If my last signal was a sell and I haven't got a buy signal yet, to be a hold. Okay, so this is a nice way of using the tool, the website or the Wen software to help you make further decisions. I like to use this, build up a little record for myself when I did the analysis last, etc. Okay, so guys, we're running out of time. Let me just go quickly back to my PowerPoint presentation. We go right down to the bottom here. This was the very first time that we ever did this. What I highlighted to you, how to use the charting module, plotting the security, replacing the security, but the idea is to use the defaults, the trend lines, and the quick templates. And the templates override the defaults, and defaults override the templates. The gated filters creates a watch list, big time saver. Remember, you need to update the JSC share list on a quarterly basis. And same thing with highlighter scans. It's a big time saver, but very important that you scan or confirm visually the criteria every day. As I say, this presentation is being recorded, or hopefully it's being recorded, and we'll see how it goes with this. But if you can please give me some feedback. What do you like to see more of? This was a quick overview tonight. Obviously, going forward, by the way, another advantage of the GoToMeeting is that's not restricted to an hour. So I can go a bit longer. Obviously, webinars are restricted to 1 hour. It cuts off. Those of you that have never seen the Wen software, you're welcome to go to the website and order a Wen demo CD for me. I'll gladly send it to you. It costs you nothing. You can actually play around with the actual program, and then from there you can actually subscribe to the download service. The software is for free. All you have to do is pay the download service. It's 169 Rand a month. It's a very, very powerful little program in the sense that it's simple, it's easy to use, and hopefully this presentation showed you how easy to use. From my side, thank you very much. Thanks for your support and thanks for your interest in our very first Wen user group. If you guys did enjoy this, please send me some emails and tell me that you did enjoy it, and we'll see how it goes from here. There's my email address. There's my contact number. So from my side, thanks for your support and enjoy the rest of your evening. All the best.